I can say with full confidence that every mainline Mario game is good. Being as popular as it is, the Super Mario series has countless spin-offs, some of which became so popular on their own, like Mario Party or Mario Kart, that they spawned all new series in and of themselves. But what about the not-so-popular one-offs, or just the entries no one seems to talk about? There's a lot of Mario spin-offs that have come out over the years that either slipped under people's radar, or people are aware of the titles but not what the games are actually like. So I've gathered a list of Mario games that I either never hear anyone talk about, or on the off chance that I have, it's very sparingly. Let's talk about them. But first,
I want to take a minute to talk to you about today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
So let me guess, you know everything there is to know about mobile games, right? Wrong! Because one of the most ambitious RPG projects of 2019 has just been released, and it's gonna flip everything on its head. It's gotta be the most immersive experience you can have on a smartphone, to the point where it can really just be straight up compared to a console or PC title. Except for the fact that, you know, it's free. It's got all the stuff you'd expect from an RPG. It's got a fleshed out storyline, impressive 3D graphics, gigantic boss fights, PvP battles, and hundreds of champions to collect and customize. And already in just 3 months, it's amassed almost 10 million players worldwide. And check out the details on these champions. My favorite so far is Sniper, because she's got a bow and a mask. It's sick. There's something for everyone here, whether you'd be into collecting characters or experiencing a deep storyline coupled with great graphics, or just combating against other live players, which my competitive brain is definitely into. And after more than 200,000 reviews, Raid almost has a perfect score on the Play Store. The game is growing incredibly fast, and a highly anticipated new update is now live. And there's a new awesome rewards program for new players. You get a new daily login reward for the first 90 days in the game.
So what are you doing? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and you'll get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program to start your journey.
So first up is a game I played all the time when I was a kid. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe is basically an enhanced port of the first Super Mario Bros. Game to the Game Boy Color. I'm gonna come right out and say first and foremost that this game's biggest downfall is the screen crunch due to it being a port from a console to the Game Boy. It makes avoiding incoming hazards 50 times harder and overall makes the game a lot more difficult because you can't see what's ahead of you. I know the original game front and back and still have some issues with it. Outside of that though, this is a really great port. This game adds quite a bit of new content, and you can even swap to the Ouija on the fly. There's this mode where you have to race Boo to the end of 8 unique stages, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first use of the on-off switches you see all over Mario Maker 2. In a few of the stages, if you beat him the first time, you get to race a faster Boo of a different color, but I'm not sure what the determining factor is here. Some of the stages have harder rematches, and some don't, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. Now, I didn't unlock this time around, but if you get over a certain amount of points in one playthrough on the main game, it also unlocks the lost levels. There's also integration with the Game Boy printer and a bunch of other unlockables. So you have the main game, New Game Plus, Boo Races, Boo Rematches, the entirety of the lost levels, which in and of itself is a whole sequel to the original game just included as an extra, customizable stuff to print and trophies to earn, as well as a couple other mini-games thrown in. I don't know how they managed it, but they really packed in a bunch of extra content into a port of a game about going right. I just played this game for the first time, and outside of the fact that I suck horribly at pinball, I actually think it's pretty fun and a lot more involved than I would have ever expected of a pinball game. I guess when this game came out for the Game Boy Advance, it flew right under my radar, so I never played it when it was new, but this game has way more to it than it has any right to. What I thought would just be a run-of-the-mill pinball game with a coat of Mario paint turned out to be a collectathon masquerading as a pinball game. Mario Pinball Land is set up a lot like something like Mario 64 or Sunshine. Multiple levels with progression gated behind stars you earn by completing tasks within each stage, bosses to defeat, coins to collect and spend in the item shop. It's crazy what they managed to pack into this one. Now, it's not perfect. It can get pretty frustrating when you're up against a boss and make one wrong move and end up like 6 rooms back. The music is not good at all and not reminiscent of anything that's ever been in a Mario game, but other than that, this game's got a lot going for it. So when you start the game, this machine scrambles Mario's internal organs and mashes him into a nice tightly packed Italian meatball and sends him off. You start off in this little hub area that houses a couple mini areas, but from there you can quickly access the cannon, which then lets you select another stage. If you've played any Mario game, you know the drill, but there's your typical grassland stage, ice, desert, and finally the fortress or castle or whatever Bowser decided to call his concrete building surrounded by lava this time. Now, I never got to actually see the final stage, but that's because to be granted access to it, you need to defeat the bosses in the other stages first, of which I only beat 2. It's a progression system like Super Metroid, basically, where defeating each boss basically grants you a key that brings you one step closer to unlocking the endgame. Now, I won't say I'm completely in love with this game because I'm not very good at pinball, but Mario Pinball Land had way more content packed into it than I ever expected a spin-off pinball game to have. Give it a try if you never have. I'm willing to bet most people who enjoy the Mario Tennis games have never played the game that actually kicked the franchise off, but that's mainly because no one bought a Virtual Boy. Even more so than with Pinball, I suck horrendously at tennis games. I was never able to get into Mario Tennis, and I've never once had even an ounce of fun with any title in the series, but I will still acknowledge its importance. And this is the game that started it all. Mario's Tennis has a bunch of characters to choose from, singles as well as doubles matches, tournament mode, and you even get to stare at this for 75% of your playtime. Mario's Tennis, more like Mario's 10 ass, am I right? This game really is the most standard of tennis games, but it's a product of its time, I guess. It's extremely basic, only 2 buttons to use for a light and heavy shot and the D-pad for movement, but the music is good, it controls well enough, and it's got a good variety of characters, including Donkey Kong Jr., because this game came out during that weird time when Nintendo started sticking Donkey Kong Jr. into places he didn't belong, as if anyone had any kind of attachment to Donkey Kong Jr. I'd like to say this game is pretty fun to go back and play, but if I said that, I'd be a dirty liar because I really can't stand Mario Tennis. Despite that, though, I can still see that there was quality put into this, and I wouldn't doubt that someone who does enjoy tennis games would at least have a decently fun half hour with this. Unfortunately, it's never been released anywhere else, and I can't say this game would be worth the purchase of a Virtual Boy. Now, Virtual Boy Wario Land? Maybe. That's a good game. So if you buy a Virtual Boy for Wario Land, then get this. I played this game so much as a kid, and I sucked so bad at it. That didn't stop me though, and this game was my first introduction to keyboard typing. For anyone unfamiliar, Mario Teaches Typing is an edutainment typing game based on Mario, if maybe slightly off model. The game takes you through multiple stages. The first one resembling a typical overworld Mario stage akin to Super Mario Bros. 1, where bricks and turtles need to be destroyed by typing the corresponding key. Those are turtles, they're not Koopas. A little image of Mario's hands at the bottom of the screen indicate which fingers you should be using for any given keystroke. Pressing the correct key moves Mario forward, and at the end of the stage, it tallies up your score. The second stage is a water level, and much like the first one, Mario propels himself as you type. Only this time, it's full words. That's not a blooper. Third stage is Bowser's Castle, and once again, you progress by typing. I want to say you progress while avoiding these thwomps, but in all actuality, everything happening on the screen is just visual filler. It's irrelevant. You just type, man. This time, you have to type complete sentences about the Civil War for some reason. That's always my favorite part of any Mario game, you know, the stage where you learn about the Confederacy. I want to state right now, I only played this game for about 20 minutes to record footage for it because the music coming out of my speakers was just a straight up assault on my eardrums. I don't remember it being this bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is an MS-DOS game. It sounds terrible, but I guess DOSBox must not do a great job of emulating sound, so it just comes out sounding like this. I do have a sense of nostalgia for this game, but I'll be the first to say it never taught me a damn thing about how to type. Also, despite not seeing it for 25 years, this screen still makes me feel as uncomfortable as it did in kindergarten. Here's another game I never played when I was younger and only found it later on. I'll be honest, the only Dr. Mario games I've ever played are the original for the NES and now this one. Dr. Mario 64 actually has a little more meat to it than your typical puzzle game. This one has a story mode which apparently takes place in the Paper Mario universe because I would recognize this house anywhere. Now in story mode, you get to choose between playing as Mario or Wario. The story is silly and simple, but it's obvious that the inclusion of a story at all had to be inherently shoehorned because at the end of the day, it's all just a means to play a puzzle game that's been around since 1990. I haven't really found much of a difference between choosing Mario or Wario other than your player character sprite changing. All the music is super catchy. It's really good. There's a few more modes including just classic Dr. Mario. You can go one-on-one against the computer, this mode called Flash where you just need to target and take out whichever virus is flashing, Marathon which I didn't try or even pay attention to, and Score Attack. There's also a 2-player option, and being an N64 game, of course, they also included multiplayer. If you made a game for the N64 that has a 2-player option but didn't then implement an up to 4-player option, you really screwed up. With 4 controller ports on board, the N64 was made for this kind of thing, and I honestly would really love to get myself and 3 other people together to play some Dr. Mario. I have a love-hate relationship with these types of games though, and I feel like I can never think fast enough, and before I know it, I'm stacking a bunch of pills up heading towards a game over. Even when I seem to be doing well, I feel like I could just lose it at any second, and it gives me so much anxiety and makes me want to vomit. Unfortunately, the old doc doesn't seem to have pills for that. I played this game an unhealthy amount as a kid. Now I know, Mario Tennis for the Game Boy Color shared a lot of the same features as this, and it was very much a game in the exact same vein, but I never played that one, so I'm only covering Mario Golf. Having played Mario Golf for N64 first, Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color is nothing at all like I expected it to be, and I played it until my thumbs bled. It's not a regular Mario sports game. This is a straight-up RPG. Funny enough, when that game Golf Story got announced for the Switch, I was just like, oh, so it's like Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color. Now, as much as I played it when I was younger, I played it a long time ago, so there's a lot of details I forget. And like I said, it's literally an RPG, so I wasn't gonna sit here for days and days trying to make progress in it for the sake of a 2-minute segment in a video, but what I played of it brought me right back to when I was a kid. There's unlockable characters in the form of the Club Pros who you can unlock by beating each one. You level up just like in any other RPG, tons of NPCs, little side quests, minigames, and the actual golf gameplay is fun as hell and really stacks up to its N64 counterpart. Maybe not visually, but fundamentally, it's just as fun. Speaking of the N64 release, as many of you probably know, Mario Golf for the N64 is more in line with any of the other Mario sports titles, and nothing akin to an RPG. The cool thing, though, as I remember, is that you can use the N64 transfer pack to import your player character from the Game Boy game into the N64 game. Very much like Pokemon Stadium, you can level up your character in the RPG and then use them in the N64 title. This game did so many unique things, and it's still one of my favorite games on the Game Boy Color. It's quite honestly shocking to me that I almost never hear anyone talk about it. If you've never played it, stop what you're doing right now and either find a used copy in a Game Boy Color, or go the more convenient and practical route and download it from the 3DS eShop. Go. You go right now and you do it. The video's over anyway. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it and want to see more, there's a couple other videos right there you can check out. And if you want to keep up to date with new videos I put out, click that subscribe button and also the bell icon so you can actually know if I upload. And if you want to help support the channel, my Patreon link is right there too.